Salut coders, this is Bisky here. Welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can integrate Keycloak and Google Sign-In. We are going to create a access token that will be created by Gmail. We try to log in the Gmail, and then we can test this with this token to exchange with Keycloak, and we get an access token on Keycloak, and we use that access token that we get from Keycloak into our application, and we are going to test on the project that we're using during this playlist of Keycloak integrations. We are going to use Google Cloud to create credentials and use these keys to add them to Keycloak. So let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do here, we want to let's go to Google Cloud. This one, let's visit Cloud Console. In this Cloud Console, let's create a new project. We want to create a new project. I can say this one, Spring Boot. Keycloak. Then I can create this one. So after creating this, let's go to credentials. Then let's create a new credentials. Let's choose OAuth client ID. This is the one that we want to use on our integration. And then for the application, it's going to be a web application, and I can call it a Google Sign-In web. And here for a redirect, we need to change this on authorized redirect URIs. Let's go here to our Keycloak. So you can visit our Keycloak, and in our Keycloak, we need to choose Google Identity. But before we do that, we are in master room. We need to create another room. So I want to create this room that is in our project. I already deleted it. So we want to start from scratch. Copy this one and come here. Let's create this room, and I can call it this one. This is the Spring Boot code, and I can create it. So a new room has been created. So we can come here. I want to create this client ID also. So let's just create this client ID because I already deleted all these details. So now I want to create, let's go to the clients and let me create a new client. And I can call it this one. This is the name of the client ID. If in the name, I can just say this client ID, and I can click next. For authentication, we don't want to authenticate this client ID. Just say next. Root URL, I think we were able to save it without those details. So we have created this client. We are okay. So we need also, okay, let's now go here. So the other thing that you have to do for our application, for you to be able to use those authentic providers, Google providers, this one, for you to be able to use this, because you want to do token exchange. So for token exchange to work, you must enable this in our application. We need the application on our Docker. Since we are using Docker, what you can do on the Docker file that I already shared with you for the Docker Composer file for running this Keycloak. So let me do nano. We need to update this key. We need to add this last statement, this one. Please add this last statement on your Docker Composer. Then after doing that, then save the file and just say Docker Composer, Docker Compose. If it was running, you can say Docker Compose down and then say Docker Compose up. Then your application will start to run again. So after you are done with that command, so we need now to go to our Google. So if you go to these providers, we are in this Spring Boot code, the new room that we just created. Go to provider, identity providers, and go to Google, select Google, and this is the redirect URI that you want to use. Just copy this and come and paste it here. Then we need to add, after doing that, let's just create this. I think we are okay. We can create. So we need the client ID and the client secret. So you need to copy this client ID and you can add the client ID here. And you can come back here. We can copy the client secret also. Then we can save. So the identity has been created. So after this identity has been created, let's come back also here again and then click OK, or just let's just download this and you can click OK. Then let's come back to this here and we want to create these credentials. Say create credentials or OAuth. Then we need to select web application again, and let's add we need to add some. Okay, I'm thinking something here. Okay, I made a mistake here. Let's choose another. Let's choose this Spring Boot Keycloak that I created. This one, it's empty here. So let's create credentials here. Let's create credentials and you can come back here. And we need to configure a consent screen and make it external. Then click create. And in our application, we just say Spring Boot Keycloak. And for email, I just use my email. For logo, don't worry about the logo. And here, I'll just say add my email. Then after doing this, I just say save. Then in our scopes, we need to add some scopes. The scope that we want to get the user email, the profile, and the open ID. Then we just say update. And then save and continue. For test users, I can add my email. So these are the users that are going to be allowed to log in with Google Sign In, because this thing is not yet on production. So you need to add the emails that are going to test the implementation. So I'm using my email and I'll just save this one and it's added here, and save and continue. And you can see, you can go back to our dashboard. So you can see it is in testing mode and one user is allowed to test here. So we need to go to credentials like I showed you previously. Click credentials or auth, and then we need to choose a web application. Let me leave it like this. It's okay. And then here in our URI, so I already, what I can do here, let me copy this. This is the URI that I want to use here. And I can paste this URI here, and then I can create this. And then I want to copy this secret, and I'll come back here. I think this is the client ID. No, it is a secret. This is my secret. I copied the secret and this is the client ID. After doing this, we need to save. So here we can download this because we need this. Here I made a mistake here in our to do. So to avoid some of the errors, what I want to do, I want to delete this one. And I want to delete this one. And it has been deleted. So let me go back to my project, which is this one. So since this one is now okay, the next thing that you want to do is to come here. We need to go to the permissions. So the config that we added here, that I showed you here, if I say cat, this configuration that you are seeing here, it will allow to have this section of permissions. If we added that, you'll be able to see these permissions. So we need to enable it here. After enabling this, we need to go to token exchange because we want to get a token. We want to use a Google token. When user sign in with Google, we get an access token, and that access token we want to exchange it with Keycloak so that we can have an access token that we can use on our application. So that's why we say token exchange, and the configuration is token exchange. So don't worry about what happened in the background. Keycloak has done everything for us. So what you can do now is click the token exchange here. And the thing that you want to do, we need to add some, let's just do save like this. So the thing that you want to do here, we need to add some policy. So what I can do, we go to client credentials. And these client credentials, we need to go to policies and we can create a new policy. And the new policy that you want, it's a client. So after selecting this client, I can say Google token exchange like this. And this description is token exchange for Google sign in. Then for clients, I have to choose a client, and the client that I want to choose is this one that we created, which is the Authentication client ID. And this is the one that we created here. I showed you how to do it. And then you choose positive, and you let me delete this G typo, and then I can click save. So if it's like this, we have managed to save this. So let's go to our identity providers. Let's go to Google, and let's go to our permissions, token exchange. And here we have to choose Google token exchange. After doing this, we have to save. So there's one thing left now. Since we created this room, let's go to our clients. In our client, we want to test this sign in. So before we do the actual test, or what I can do now, let's do step by step. We need now to test the sign in for this. So we want to use OAuth 2, Google OAuth 2 Playground. So I can say Google OAuth 2 Playground. So in this Google OAuth 2 Playground, that's where we want to generate we want to get an access token that we are going to use on our Keycloak. So we can look for Google OAuth 2. So let's go to by ascending order. Let's look for Google. Once we are on Google, let's look for OAuth. We are on Cloud EFG. We are now on Google. This one on Google OAuth 2 version 2. This one. So we can tick this one. Let's tick this one, and let's tick this one, and let's say authorize API. So this one, it will allow us to log in with the Gmail. So this is the Gmail that we added on our test. If you go to our if you are open here, I think so. or it is in our consent screen. You can see this is the email that I'm going to use to log in. So after doing this, I will select if you have multiple Gmail account, they will pop up here. So the Google would yes generated this for us. Then I can click exchange authorization code. So right now we have in this access token. So we want to use this access token to our Keycloak. So let's just copy this access token. I'll copy this access token and I'll go to Postman. So we have the format that we are supposed to follow. So for subject token, this is the access token that we are going to add here. So let me replace with this. Now you understand we are going to use on this key, and the subject issuer it's going to be Google. It's either Facebook, but now we are using Google. And the client ID that we use is this one, Authentication client ID. That's why I was more focusing on using that same client ID. And we need an access token. This is the subject token type. We need the access token. And for grant type, we are using this token exchange. So you need to copy these parameters as they are. And here, our realm here, we need to, for our realm, it's Spring Boot code, or I can copy it from from this example, which is Spring Boot code. I can copy it here, and I will come with it on our Postman. And I can paste it here. So if I do this, it will let's try to get the access token. So you can see if you go to our users, we don't have any users. So if that user does not exist when you're trying to log in, the URL for login is just the same, but with the different parameters now. So if you look for the previous login URL, we're using client details, username and password, and the grant type was password. But right now it's a bit different now because it's now in token exchange and with this params or OAuth. So let's try to log in. You can see now we get this access token. This access token is coming from our Keycloak, and this access token is the token that we can use on our application or our Spring Boot application to access our resources. Though, so there's something happened here. There's token exchange. This token that we generated from Google sign on is the one that we is being exchanged, and we are get the Keycloak access token. So that's the whole principle of token exchange. So if we come here, if I refresh here, let me try to refresh this page. We will see a new user. This is the new user that we just created, and these are the details that came from Google. So this is how we can use our this is how we can sign in with Google. If you are using Flutter, if you are using Angular, you can use the same principle by getting that access token from the Google sign-on SDK, and then code this endpoint for your code this endpoint, and I will share this in the description. You can use scale and you can see how it looks like here. Then that's all here. So in our Spring Boot here, so there's something that we need to do. I want to test how to get this user from the Keycloak to make sure that this thing is now working correctly. So what I can do, we have this Keycloak user API. So I want to test this endpoint, which is get user. If I hit this endpoint, I'm supposed to get these details as they are coming from the Keycloak. So to make sure that our Spring Boot application is completely integrated with a Keycloak, and also these details has been saved into the user table of the Keycloak. So there are things that you want to do now. This thing won't work right now. For it to work, we need to do this. We need to go to clients. For admin client, so we want to access the details of we want to access the user details with this admin client. If you go to our Spring Boot project, in the application YAML, we can see we have this admin client ID, and admin client secret. So we want to have this admin client secret. So what you want to do, so far we don't have a secret. So what you can do, we just scroll down here and let's enable credentials. After enable credentials, we need to also enable service account rows. Then we can save. So for logout, I can just say enter this URL. It not be empty. So after logging out, what we can do now is to come to the credentials, and I want to copy this, and I can put this ID into this client secret. You can get the link in the description. So the admin client is going to be, and we are using Spring Boot code everywhere. Then let's come back again. So in our service account rows, we need to add a new row. So this row, we can say assign row, and here let's filter by clients, and we need manage users, room manage users. So what I can do this, room manage users, this one, room manage user. So you need to assign this row so that that client will be able to get user details like managing user or creating a user. So I can do this, I can assign. So you can also comment if you are watching live on this, and I can read all your comments. And also you are free to ask any questions, like, share, comment, or subscribe to our channel. So after doing this, let's run this application since we have updated and assigned the correct rows for this. So the application is now starting up, and it has started on this port 9095. So let me test here. 9095. Yeah, this is the URL, the Swagger URL. So we need to get a user. This user, we want to test our end. We want to test with the token that has been created by token exchange with Google sign-in, so that we can get these details. So what we can do now, let me get another token again. Yeah, I will copy the token, and let me paste the token here. I can click authorize and paste the token here and say authorize and click close. Then let me try to execute to get that user. You can see we have managed to get this user, and this we are using the token that we use for Google sign-on, and we have managed to integrate with the Keycloak and our Spring Boot project. So if you are new to this channel, may you kindly subscribe, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload new video. Salut coders, let's meet on another live video.